Former President Donald Trump took another step to separate himself from his challenger, Ron DeSantis, rallying against woke at a campaign event in Iowa yesterday.
It's gone sick. And I don't like the term woke because I hear woke, woke, woke. You know, it's like just a term that half the people can't even define it. They don't know what it is.
This is only the latest jab that the former president has made at DeSantis from the governor's left, surprisingly. You'll remember that Trump said Florida's new 6-week abortion ban is too harsh. And here he is speaking to Iowa voters about the COVID vaccine yesterday.
What do you think you would do differently?
Yeah, well, you know, everybody wanted a vaccine at that time. And I was able to do something that nobody else could have done, getting it done very, very rapidly. But I never was for mandates. I thought the mandates were terrible. And you know, there's a big portion of the country that thinks that was a great thing. You understand that. Not a lot of the people in this room, but there is a big portion.
So do you think Donald Trump watches Rising or something with that comment about how a lot of people can't define woke?
Yeah, I think he saw the clip of, no one being able to define woke. An author of a book pertaining to the woke ideology couldn't even define woke. And so I don't know if Trump's saying this because he's a leftist, but I do appreciate his take here because the word woke has gotten so far away from its original definition and use that at this point it shouldn't be used, and many of the people who are using it can't define it. I agree with that from Donald Trump, but it's funny to me that because DeSantis has said, if I'm president, I'm going to defeat the leftist woke mob, that now Trump has to come out, not pro-leftist woke mob, but something adjacent to that. Like, I don't think it's useful to use the word woke. He didn't say, I'm also going to take down the leftist woke mob. So I kind of like where this is going.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting that Trump keeps taking the sort of more centrist or left-wing position to DeSantis, and DeSantis has been able to position himself as running from the right. I do want to defend my friend really briefly, Bethany Mandel, the author who was on here. I do know that she knows how to define woke, and I know that she wrote a chapter on it in her book, and I think she just had a gaffe on a TV moment, which of course happens to all of us. She also has 5 kids at home with her, so I do want to give her the benefit of the doubt, and I think she deserves some grace in that situation. I know she got so much hate for that clip, and so I just wanted to mention that. But yeah, back to this campaign issue. They've been sparring over COVID too, wherein Ron DeSantis has said, you went along with Dr. Fauci, you shut the country down, and I kept Florida open. Trump has been responding both by, in some cases, saying that governor should have listened to his advice to lock the country down versus claiming that Florida was locked down and shouldn't have been. And there hasn't been a really cohesive response from Trump to this COVID battle. And that seems like it's going to be probably one of the biggest areas of disagreement for these two candidates.
Yeah, Trump is a very skilled communicator in saying the thing that I think he views will make people satisfied in the moment, but is inconsistent with a lot of his overall statements. So there he said, I supported giving people vaccines, having them have the option to take them. And back then, at that point in time, people really wanted them. He ran a public opinion kind of narrative, sort of PR relations around the vaccine. Like, I'm going to be the guy that produces the thing, and he was approaching his second term. So it wasn't like he wasn't considering that this was something he needed to get done before re-election. That was a factor as well. But Operation, what was it?
Warp Speed.
Fury or Fast. Operation whatever, get everybody vaccinated, and it's the Trump vaccine, he called it. It's just like crazy to me that he goes from that to like pandering to an audience in Iowa that probably doesn't have extremely positive sentiments about the COVID vaccine, which is pretty popular among people in Trump's base, that kind of a sentiment. So he's just like, I was never for the mandates. That's what gets the cheers. He's like, I just gave people the option. But he really made a meal out of like, I'm going to be the guy that gets everybody vaccinated.
He did. He was very excited about it. He got really upset with the Biden administration when they tried to take credit for it, when they claimed, that there I think originally claimed there wasn't a vaccine by the time Biden took office, which was obviously not true. And I asked Donald Trump back in the summer of 2021 why he didn't fire Dr. Fauci when a lot of his base wanted him to. And he's changed his answer on that several times. At the time, he basically said that Fauci was such a bureaucratic, embedded person in the administration that he couldn't do it. He later told people that he didn't want the media to cover him negatively because of it, which was such a weird excuse because the media covered him negatively no matter what he did. But yeah, again, the messaging is very inconsistent on COVID, and I think that might be a problem for him. Meanwhile, Ron DeSantis came off rather stiff in an awkward exchange with a reporter on the campaign trail yesterday. Let's take a look.
Why not take any questions from voters, Governor? Governor, how come you're not taking questions from voters?
Not coming up to me, talking to me. What are you talking about? I'm not here murder with people. Are you blind? Are you blind?
I'm not blind.
Okay, so people are coming up to me, talking to me, whatever they want to talk to me about.
He is not a likable guy. Are you blind? That's a tough response. But I don't know. If someone has a question for Ron DeSantis, ask the question. Bird dog him. Don't go up to him and say, why aren't you taking questions from voters? Ask him a question. I don't know. It just comes off a bit weird to me that that's the exchange that was caught.
Yeah, and in this particular moment, DeSantis was meeting with voters and talking to them and taking pictures with them. So obviously they could have talked to him about anything they wanted. Apparently he was having conversations with voters at that time about various policies that they wanted to see enacted. And so I think this reporter just kind of missed the boat here. I mean, he's accusing him basically of not talking to voters because he didn't do a formalized question and answer session after his speech. But then if he's going in the scrum and talking to them anyway, I don't see what the big deal is. So I thought his reaction was fine. It was a little stilted, but it's against the media, so people are going to love it. But he does kind of need to work on just his retail politician persona and his ability to relate to people. Because these cringe moments apparently happen quite frequently. In fact, here's another one that we'd like to take a look at right now.
I've got a long last name, European name, Steinhauser. There's been some confusion over your last name and the pronunciation, and I'm just wondering, to correct the record, what is it?
Oh, this is ridiculous, these stupid things. Listen, the way to pronounce my last name, Winner.
I would still like to know if it's DeSantis or DeSantis. But I think he hasn't decided either. What I really think happened he's called himself both things. I think maybe they had some kind of internal market research polling and they asked a bunch of people which one sounds better, which one sounds more trustworthy. I genuinely believe that's what's behind this switch up here.
There was apparently a report that claimed Casey, his wife, was the one behind the switch from DeSantis to DeSantis. And I guess because of her news anchor background, she was trying to help with the public perception of that name being better, or maybe would help him with the Italian community. I don't exactly know. But I also have heard from Italians who say it's pretty common that when their last names get Americanized, that they will sometimes change pronunciation or go by both, and it's not really worth it to try to constantly correct people. So, I mean, I understand him not wanting to play into this narrative that he's, a phony guy who's mispronouncing his name intentionally because it sounds better to voters. But the response here with the canned line about his last name being Winner, I mean, come on. How many times do you think he practiced that in the mirror?
No, it seems exactly as you said. Like he practiced it in the mirror. It's so contrived. And this is reminding me of Matt Gaetz preparing Ron DeSantis for the campaign for governor, I'm pretty sure. And Gaetz is in, a Nirvana t-shirt. And he's like, all right, remember to just write before the debate at the top of your paper, be likable. As if that is going to change his whole personality. Like, can you make up a personality on the fly while you're running for office? Can you become a likable person intentionally? Ron DeSantis is our case study on that. Like, I think you putting it as he needs to be a better retail politician makes sense. Can you fake it all the way, though? It seems like that's what he's going to have to do.
Exactly. I feel like the ideal situation for the conservative Republican Party is that Trump is maybe the messenger the president who has the charisma, and DeSantis can be an excellent chief of staff or head of policy, but a girl can dream. More Rising after this.